Hello, the name's Keith Isles, and welcome to Home Media Minefield, helping you with information to navigate the complexities of home cinema and home media entertainment. And this week, as we're in the lead up to No Time to Die, the very latest James Bond movie starring Daniel Craig, I am going to have a look back at the home media releases of the Daniel Craig era of James Bond films on physical media. And today we're starting with where it all began for Daniel Craig in 2006's Casino Royale. Directed by Martin Campbell, a reboot of the franchise for a new era. And this has been released a number of times on physical media, DVD, Blu-ray and 4K. Package that I'm looking at today is the 2-disc deluxe edition, which was available on both DVD and Blu-ray. But of course this film has also been available in a number of box sets over the years, including the 50th anniversary box set. That does make for a bit of a minefield as far as bonus features etc. go, and that's what we're going to break down in this episode. Now, the 2-disc deluxe Blu-ray that I'm looking at today was actually gifted to me by friend of the channel Mike Tack, so thank you again for that. And by the way, there is another mystery unboxing coming soon. I actually previously owned this 2-disc edition on DVD, and of course there is also a version of this available in the 50th anniversary collection. And this film is also available on 4K UHD. Currently it's only the Daniel Craig films that are available on the 4K UHD format, but I have no doubt that the other films in the franchise will follow soon. So first up with the packaging for this edition. This comes in a beautiful hardcover matte slipcase with inside a fold-out digipack containing the 2 discs, which are picture discs, and as a bonus here you also get a glossy 12-page booklet with pictures of the cast and stories from the set. So if you can pick up this edition, it is rather nice for collectors. As I've already mentioned, this is also available in various box sets and different packaging. And from what my research tells me, it is the same regardless of what area you buy this in. I'm obviously looking at the UK one here today. Now first up with the picture quality of this Blu-ray. Casino Royale was obviously shot on 35mm film, but it had a 2K digital intermediate, and the picture here presented in its original 2:35:1 aspect ratio is very vibrant and clear. Now, having looked also at the 4K UHD release, obviously there you get the benefit of high dynamic range, making the contrast levels slightly richer, but because this essentially comes from a 2K intermediate, other than the high dynamic range improvements, I for one found the picture quality of this Blu-ray release to be pretty up there. When we get to the audio aspects of this, this has a 5.1 audio track in multiple languages as well as multiple subtitle options. Now again, the 4K UHD release uses this same 5.1 track. There is no upgrade to an object-based Dolby Atmos or DTS-X track. So once again, other than the HDR on the picture, I don't see a huge leap for going for the 4K UHD version. But maybe I'm just being biased because I've only got the Blu-ray at the moment. But the audio mix here is very good, some great separation and some really good sub-bass. Now onto the special features, and this is where this can take some time because there is an absolute wealth of special features, particularly on this 2-disc deluxe edition, that don't necessarily all come on the 4K editions or the discs that come within the box sets. So I will go through these special features one by one, and I will highlight when they're not included on a particular format. I hope this makes sense and won't be too difficult to follow. So first up, on disc 1 in this set, which contains the film, in terms of additional special features, you get one that is unique to this Blu-ray, which is a picture-in-picture audio commentary with director Martin Campbell and producer Michael G. Wilson. Now, the picture-in-picture aspect doesn't actually add much. Most of it is them in a studio recording this with the odd cutaway to some behind the scenes or production stills. But what they have to say on the commentary track, which is of course the point of a commentary track, there is an absolute wealth of information about this production. Now, it's fair to say that a lot of what they talk about is repeated in the various featurettes and documentaries on this set, but nonetheless it is very comprehensive here on this track. And this track hasn't been ported over to the 4K UHD edition and is not available on the version of Casino Royale included in the James Bond collection sets. So really this is a unique thing to the deluxe edition on Blu-ray. This feature wasn't on the DVD version either. It just appeared as an audio commentary only. Next up on this same disc you get a second commentary, which is a cast and crew commentary. Again, very comprehensive, where many people from the production talk about the aspects that they were involved in. Now, this commentary track is available on the 4K and all of the other versions out there from what I can tell. So if you like your commentaries, this one gets you 2 of them. Also included on this first disc are the theatrical trailers and a pop-up trivia track as well, which, I'll be honest, I didn't really have time to go through that before recording this episode. Next we go on to disc 2, the second Blu-ray in this set, and I'll start with the bonus features that are also available on the 4K and the single disc that's included in the collector's sets. First up, you get about 8 minutes of deleted scenes. Now, these are really only filler bits between scenes or extensions of some of the scenes. Most notably, there's some footage of Bond being rushed to hospital after he is rescued from Le Chiffre. And probably most notable is an extended version of the black and white pre-credits sequence with Bond at the cricket pavilion surveying and stalking his first kill. And this is just some additional bits that leads up to the fight in the restroom at the beginning of the film. Next you get a 26-minute comprehensive documentary called The Road to Casino Royale. And this features producers Michael Wilson and Barbara Broccoli, along with the writing team of Purvis, Wade and Haggis, talking about the original novel of Casino Royale and how the rights were tied up for many years because of Ian Fleming selling the rights to an American television network. It shows some clips from that TV movie starring Barry Nelson as Jimmy Bond, as well as talking about the rights and the making of the 1968 spoof film of Casino Royale. It goes into quite a lot of history about getting the rights to remake this film, taking this story, adapting it for the reboot, and where they were going to go with the franchise. It also touches briefly on the abandoned Jinx movie that they were going to do following Pierce Brosnan's Die Another Day. So lots of interviews and information included in this featurette. Next up you get a 20-minute featurette called Ian Fleming's Incredible Creation, and this looks into his writing of Casino Royale and the roots of the character of James Bond. There are many scholars and experts interviewed here, and they talk about how Fleming took some aspects of himself and put into the character of James Bond. Next you get a 25-minute featurette called James Bond in the Bahamas, and this looks at the history of the Bond films that have been shot in the Bahamas and many of the stories that came from it. They talk about the underwater photography and stunts included in the films Thunderball, You Only Live Twice, The Spy Who Loved Me, For Your Eyes Only, and The World Is Not Enough, all of which had underwater sequences that were filmed in and around the Bahamas. There's some quite interesting stuff in here. Following that, you get another 25-minute featurette called Ian Fleming's Secret Road to Paradise, which is kind of like a part 2 of the previous featurette. Again, they talk about Fleming in the Bahamas, and we look at some of the resorts and hotels on Paradise Island and how many people on the island have some sort of connection to the Bond movies over the decades. Both of these featurettes are quite good at being a mixture of interviews with people but intercut with shots of the various locations, and again cutting away to scenes from the films that they were used in. Just made me want to go on holiday, really. Then you get a 23-minute featurette called Death in Venice, and this talks about the filming in Venice along with the sinking of the Palazzo on the canal. Now this one is particularly good because lots of cast and crew are interviewed about this, but you get a lot of behind the scenes footage as well, not only from the production but from the pre-production and prepping of this. And you see the movie magic where for some of it they filmed on location. For the interior they used sets at Pinewood Studios on the 007 stage, and some of the shots were using practical miniatures. So they show footage and interviews for this whole process and how that sequence was put together for the climax of the movie. Then you get a 27-minute documentary called Becoming Bond. And this is where actor Daniel Craig, along with many of the team around him, discuss the casting process of him being chosen to be the 6th actor to play James Bond. This is great because in this we get footage from the screen test, the press launch announcing Daniel Craig as the new 007, as well as workout and fight choreography of him preparing for the role, and it looks at casting the rest of the characters around him in this film. Now much of what was said here is actually quite similar to a documentary that they've had recently on Apple TV called Being James Bond. So it was quite fascinating to hear the same stories and compare the two. Next up you get a 25-minute featurette called James Bond for Real, and this looks at the stunts for Casino Royale and the emphasis on the fact that everything was done practically. So this features the free-running parkour sequences at the beginning, the Aston Martin roll stunt, and the Miami airport sequence. Again, not only interviews with the crew and the technicians that were involved, but also lots of behind-the-scenes footage to accompany this. And then the final feature that's available on all versions of this, whether it's the 4K UHD, the single-disc Blu-ray, or the double-disc DVD, is the Chris Cornell music video for You Know My Name. Now the rest of the special features that I'm about to talk about are unique to this deluxe edition. So if you want to be a completist, this is the version you need to have, because there is still quite a lot more included here. So first you get a 50-minute documentary from 2006, Bond Girls Are Forever. And this is where actress Miriam Dabo from The Living Daylights interviews all of the Bond girls over the decades, from Ursula Andress right up to Halle Berry, and they talk about what it means to be a Bond girl and what that term means to the world. Now I think this was shown on television back in the day, but it's quite nice that it's included here on this set. Then you get a 14-minute featurette called The Art of the Free Run, and again this delves even more deeply into the free-running sequence from the beginning of the movie. Actor and parkour creator Sebastian Foucan is interviewed in this, along with many of the other stunt team and crew. Again, this is quite a worthy featurette. Then you get another 15-minute featurette called Catching a Plane, which is an even deeper delve into the airport sequence and has a film to storyboard comparison. And director Martin Campbell talks about how that was heavily storyboarded prior to the shoot. And on the subject of storyboards, the next additional featurette is a 10-minute piece called Free Run Storyboards, again looking at that opening sequence, and this has an option where you can just look at the storyboards or you can watch the storyboards while the scene is running, and it just gives you that great A/B comparison and shows you how meticulously these films are planned. And then finally on this disc you get 53 minutes worth of filmmaker profiles. where various members of the creative crew talk about their careers and their involvement in Casino Royale. These include director Martin Campbell, special effects coordinator Chris Corbold, director of photography Phil Mayhew, stunt coordinator Gary Powell, second unit director Alexander Witt, and composer David Arnold. So there you go. As I mentioned at the beginning, quite a lot of extra bonus material included on this version. As I said, that's the 2-disc edition deluxe Blu-ray. My conclusion and scores on these are as follows. So for this Blu-ray edition, for the picture I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5. Obviously, if you've got the 4K UHD version, you're going to benefit from the high dynamic range, making for a better picture quality. But I'm still very impressed with this Blu-ray. For the audio, I'm also going to give this a 3.5 out of 5. This is a decent 5.1 soundtrack with lots of sub-bass. However, in the remastering, I would have expected them to maybe do a Dolby Atmos or DTS-X track, or even a 7.1 mix for this. But for the special features on this, I am going to give this version a 5 out of 5. There is literally hours of bonus content on this that go into huge detail in all the aspects of this production, with plenty of behind the scenes footage to go along with it. So a really good job that they've done on this one. So that brings Casino Royale to a score of 12 out of a possible 15 for this particular edition. If you've come this far with the video, I really appreciate your time for watching, and if you did find some value in this, please consider giving this a like, subscribing to the channel, and checking out some of the other work on here. I have previously done a review of the Spy Who Loved Me Blu-ray, which tied in with a live stream that I was involved in at the time, so check that out in the links down below. And please watch out for more videos. I'm going to be covering the rest of Daniel Craig's films, Quantum of Solace, Skyfall and Spectre. Those videos probably won't be quite as long because this one really is the one that has the most special features. But I'd like to know from you, which is your favourite of the Daniel Craig movies? Say in the comments down below. And if there's any particular Bond movies that you'd like me to review on this channel, please mention that as well and I will add it to the list. But in the meantime, I thank you for your time today, and you know the name. Bye for now.